I'm so glad you'll be participating in one of our reading groups this term. The goal of groups is to engage big questions, to do so in a gathering of others who are interested and studied, and with the help of a leader, drawing our attention to a key text. We've explored texts from the early Christian era, from the medieval centuries of Christendom, from the writings of the Reformers, and this time we're exploring our first modern classic. We're exploring C.S. Lewis's Screwtape Letters, a work from the 1940s. In many senses, it may seem far too contemporary to be worthy of our study, and yet what we've seen decade after decade is that Lewis has left us a modern classic. Now, we gather in groups to discuss because big questions demand the work not merely of an isolated individual, but of Christians who gather together to glean from one another. We need guidance and direction, and so we want to study with capable leaders. And we need to know the wisdom of the ages, what's been learned, what's been successful, and what's failed. We want to learn from the giants of the faith, from Augustine and Irenaeus, from Luther and Calvin. Lewis, in many respects, has proven to be a modern master, a guide for thinking about Christian life this side of so many changes and transformations. You may know Lewis, the fiction writer, from his Chronicles of Narnia. Perhaps you've encountered Lewis the professor, the Oxford and Cambridge Don, writing on English literature, the medieval and Renaissance periods. Here we engage Lewis in his third mode, in lay theology, perhaps most famous for his radio addresses that became the book Mere Christianity. He's also written insightfully on topics from miracles to prayer. In Screwtape Letters, he helps us examine something we might easily overlook, and I suspect decades later, we still struggle with. We live in a world like the Britain of the 1940s, where we're resourced with helps to adapt in terms of our economic and our bodily lives, to our political concerns and our social lives. Too easily we can overlook the spiritual facets of everyday life. Far too easily we can overlook the demonic assaults of the battle that we truly engage in. Lewis won't let us forget, and Screwtape Letters alerts us to the fact that we are on a battlefield and a war is being waged, and we're wise to be aware, not only aware, but attentive to the ways, the diabolical devices of our opposition. You'll find in these 31 letters, originally written in 1941 for publication in the journal The Guardian, a year later turned into a coherent book, you'll find an elder tempter, Screwtape, offering guidance to his younger understudy, Wormwood. You'll see threads running across the letters. You'll also see a range of concerns where we get a vision of Lewis's thoughts about this or that. I hope as you study, I pray as you prepare for discussion, that you will see ways in which Lewis has applied deep biblical and Christian reflection on who we are, how we work inside to out, and how we can be led into temptation and sin. By looking at the ways of the enemy, Lewis offers myriad examples of gospel encouragement and advice, of biblical instruction, and at times reflection on the insights of the giants of the Christian faith, folks from Augustine of Hippo to the later Boethius, perhaps his favorite medieval philosopher. We'll glean more by studying it together. Hopefully, we'll perceive more by looking at the spiritual battle we're in with the insights of C.S. Lewis. I'm so glad you're along for the journey, and I hope it proves rich and rewarding to you.